Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. We're here for It's Clobbering Time with the extreme artist Marcus Extreme Kellegrew Extreme.
I was just Marcus Kellegrew this afternoon when I was on with Rex and Devil Flyer talking about Steve Ditko.
Oh, that's cool. Send me a link to that. I'll watch that. I can.
Oh, all right. I
always like Rex. You know.
I was driving. It was on for over an hour. Probably a better picture than this.
Oh, you were driving around while
driving home, yeah.
Yeah, I called Tonic Bowl. I have an hour and a half commute to work, and then I got stuck in traffic. Oh my god, It was the worst. So I had this idea. So we watched. So first off, let's get the introductions out of the way. How you doing? This is John. Welcome to John's Long Box. This is It's Clobbering Time, and yeah, the time is crazy. I'm on a job where I'm working 3:30 to 10. So when I get home, usually we try this at midnight. But today I went to work, and the foreman was late. Check it out, and he was just like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on this job because there's four electricians in this shop. 3 of them are on furlough. Me and the foreman, and the foreman's like, there's nothing to do. There's literally nothing to do. He's like, I was like, what does this mean? He goes, see you, we'll see you Monday, I hope.
Oh, God. So you're afraid you're going to get furloughed. That's what you were saying.
Right. So
that sucks.
So I'll find out. So I went to work, got my paycheck, and went home. But long story short, I was talking to Tonic Ball on the phone. I called him up because I was driving, and we watched Alien over the week, and then we talked about it today. So
I didn't get to replay that yet. I'm sorry. You're on so late. I'd love to be on. I'm pretty much out by then.
Right. Well, no. This was today at noon.
Oh, well, I was at work.
You were at work.
I was actually working then. Yeah. No.
So today at noon, we talked about
I forgot.
Alien movie. And then while he was talking, I had an idea for a sci-fi story. Like, has nothing
to do. That post.
It won't be set in my comic book, but I definitely want to work. So I called Tonic Bowl. Funny thing is he's been working on a sci-fi story for 15 years. Is remarkably similar to the story that I'm working on, but different enough that it's a different story. So we had the idea of, what if we just make like an anthology series? Like, we'll call it Dark Space, because it's just going to be scary space exploration and then things that happen. Like, it was funny because I was telling them the world building. It's like 200 years in the future. We've been traveling, but due to a collapse in society and either a war or a plague or both or whatever, like the corporations and the countries, things. So there's a whole bunch of ships out there with crews in suspended animation that nobody knows about. So there's just these lost ships. So far, our stories are exactly the same. Now, what happens on these lost ships are different. So we were thinking, he's talking to, like, I don't know if I should be saying this, but he's been talking to a bunch of different creators. And I was like, okay, Tonic Ball, you'll be Jim Shooter. You'll be the editor to make sure that all the stories' continuity works. And then we'll just make these stories and maybe make an anthology. Maybe we'll just call it the Dark Space series, Dark Space, with my story, Dark Space, whatever. But, literally we started today. So what does that mean? 2 years from now? Well,
the time goes weirdly fast, right?
Right. So, but anyway,
I was just thinking about that.
But there's no way this would fit because if they were superheroes, the superheroes would just find all of these ships. You know what I mean? Unless space is that, whatever. Well, I don't want. I reserve the right to put everything in my main superhero universe. So anyway, that's what I was talking about today. Anything interesting happening with you?
Well, I went to the doctor because my right knee's been hurting for like 2.5 weeks. but it's arthritis. I'm not going to have. They gave me some medicine. I got a cortisone shot. It feels a little better.
Oh, the course that works for like 6 months.
I was going to have to. What? Excuse me.
That works for like 6 months, right? A cortisone shot.
Yeah. I was hoping that. She just says a flare out. It was my right knee, and they actually said my left knee looks worse.
Oh God! Did you say anything about your face? Because it's killing me.
No, they were really nice about my face. I expect arthritis in my elbow and in my wrist, my drawing wrist and hand. Hand sometimes I don't get it that bad, but all of a sudden. But they gave me a strong ibuprofen and stuff. So
I had to lift something.
I feel better.
I had to lift a metal plate, and I've been crawling around through all these ducts, so it's not like I could stand and lift with my knee. I was literally like laying down, and I had to lift.
That's a good way to wrench your back.
Oh my God! My right here, my what is that, tricep down here?
Tricep, yeah.
So today I was literally lifting. It's called a sleeve, but it's not tinfoil because it's sturdy. But you wrap them around a pipe, and then they expand. You know what I mean? So they and then you fill it with fire stop. I don't know why you need the sleeve because I could just put the fire stop, but that's the fire.
Why can't you just? I've done fire. Oh boy,
right. Well, you're in a different state. Who knows? But anyway,
no, we have to do fire stop.
In New York City is even stricter. But anyway, just lifted that today. I was like, oh my God, so that hurts. So we're getting old and we're getting ailments. But other than that, I'm in like the best shape I've ever been in my life. I've always been.
That's good.
I'm like lighter than I've been in 20 years. The only thing that bothers me is my neck hurts now. Believe it or not.
Yeah, see, that's going to be like and that could be like a. Well, she was telling me that arthritis is hereditary, but when you hurt something like that arthritis does sneak in later, so you have to watch for that.
Right, like
they said about when I shattered my elbow. Or broke my wrist. I'm definitely going to have it.
Just say it.
I feel it when I draw.
Just say it hurts. But since I broke my neck in the car accident, it's like lately when it gets humid out, I can feel it. Like my wife broke her ankle about 8 years ago, and she complains, "Oh, my ankle, it's gonna rain." We turned it into I remember my grandmother. My foot, it's gonna rain.
No. I'm just happy I didn't have a torn meniscus and have to get surgery and stuff and be out of work.
Yeah. Eye injuries, elbow injuries, and knee injuries. Oh my God. Like I can't even watch them in movies, I just say it.
It's not fun when you have an elbow injury.
Right. So just you talking about it is giving me the full body cringe.
And it got infected too.
Oh, great. And it's
it was wonderful to go back to the hospital.
Well, on a good note, Zactan's given us the blessing, so maybe
I need the blessing, Zactan.
That'll cure you.
And then after the doctor's office, I drove 3 hours to Durham, North Carolina, to fix a wireless access point. So now I'm doing all this. And I'm going up a 6-foot ladder, right? But she took some fluid out, so I felt well enough to do it. But I didn't tell her I was going to do that. Oh, you should go rest now. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure.
Right. I like when I went to the doctor to get cleared for work. She goes, oh, you cleared for light duty. I'm like, there is no light duty.
There's no light duty. Yeah.
Am I cleared for work or not cleared for work?
Yeah. AT&T had to put a light duty in for that, to get ride with somebody, really. And
Helsing in the novel is a thinker, not a fighter. Solomon Kane is a murder machine. I'm just going through the comments. That being said, they'll probably get along well unless they had a theological disagreement. Anglican versus Puritan. I didn't even think of that. I'm truly the first one here. The others are just fragments of your immigrants.
I agree, Eric.
It's true. Eric was the first. I jumped to the cheat. And don't forget, I got a comic book, Heroic Tales 2. Daniel is going to send the last 2 pages so we can color it, put it to bed tonight. Well, finish it up. I was rereading the lettering, and I want to change some of the dialogue. It's a little.
I have to read. You sent me the patriarch. I'm not talking about it. There's a lot going on. I want to read it again because when I read the script, like the artist. It's harder to read the story because there's all your thing. Okay, Renzo, do this here. Okay, Renzo, do. It's not like a plot, like a story, like either the book itself or a book. Right,
you're reading it like you're planning.
Some wild stuff happens in that book, people. So you have to back this book to get to the next one. Let's go.
Yeah, Marcus is one of 6 people who have read the script.
It has to sink in. It felt like it felt like 2 issues because you haven't done a story. I have not read a story by you that long.
Right. It's the longest. It's 45.
So it felt like 2 issues. So I have to get my mind around it, but I talked to you a little about it.
Right. It's 3 sections. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
no, I noticed. Yeah, I have to.
3 parts. It's three.
And then the other great news is that I have one more panel to tighten up because that's kind of how I work. I trace it out and then I tighten it up in fixed drawing and then ink it on the current story, which I am not showing because the second page is spoilers. We're not going to show the second page.
So
Even the first page is spoilers in a way too. But
Marcus is doing a 2-page story for I Love a Mystery, which is the public eye story, and I would like to submit it to Pete Samedi for the next issue of It Came Out on a Wednesday. So that's why you're doing that short story, which chronologically happens later, much later, because
I'll ink start this weekend, and then I'm going to Greensboro for a few days. But I bring it with me if I have work I have to do. I can do it at hotel inking, particularly if the light's good enough.
Because the first story, it's literally the public eye meets points.
Yeah, we did that first page. I didn't get to this. I'm going to go back to that.
The second story is going to be Poinsettia gets herself in trouble and is looking.
No, really?
Well,
Shouldn't get any trouble.
And looks for the public eye. And then the third story is going to be like, okay, now that it's established that they have like a weird relationship, you know.
Poinsettia doesn't get herself in trouble.
And that's where your story would fit in. So your story is 4.
Right. I like this story. It was fun.
Yep. So and this is an open invite. It's always an open invite for its clobbering time. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, it's going to be Van Helsing versus Solomon Kane, and we're just filibustering to let people in. And we got greetings from Raleigh, North Carolina. Every time I always read that in James Brown's voice. Raleigh, North Carolina.
It's really funny. Like every week I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. That's like a big part of my job is to go there.
He forgives me for being late, even though I'm technically early. So, right, because we were going to be midnight. I made this suggestion for another YouTube channel for horror movies. I was going to say something about horror movies. Hey, everybody. Hey, Eric. Everybody's saying hello. Happy Friday. Hello, everybody. I'm not sure Van Helsing would have interest in Grundy. Who's Grundy? Solomon. Oh, you're thinking of Solomon Grundy. That's just my opinion. Solomon Kane would have to be controlled by something by Dracula. After all, Dracula's like Van Helsing, White Whale. 40 pages. Number 5, not beat by 4, not that much. Well, Heroic Tales 2 is 40 pages. Patriarch number 1, just the Patriarch story is 45. So I'm probably it's got to be divisible by 4.
Well, what I mean by that is you have to pay. It's split 2 pages, either 15 or 20 page increments so far, and this is 40 pages, and I'm not as used to that, you know. And then I have
if I remember correctly,
so pages,
45 pages of story, which so I have to make it divisible by 4 for the printer. So 44, 48. So it'd have to be 52 pages. So that means there's going to be a letters page.
Are you going to, so?
And I'm going to put an article by Regina Lopez talking about some history, and I might fill out the rest of it with a brochure. Welcome to Science City.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a nice idea. Oh, so if it's going to be 50 pages, will it still do saddle stitch, or are you going to square bound it?
That's a good question.
I think of these things all the time because I drive a lot. So
I don't know. I'll have to see what the
because the saddle stitch works. I think the bigger the saddle stitch gets, it pops out. You know how the comics are,
right?
With the paper we use,
right? It bows,
right? And that's why the square bound. But I don't know the cost difference.
But I do know that I'm going to have to make it. I'm going to have to make it $15 instead of 4.
It's a bigger book.
And I just have to. And then that doesn't mean that every issue of Patriarch is going to be that big. The origin is pretty complicated. And
Vaughn did a different size book.
My relationship with Tony Grigo.
Hey, it's Mr. Grigo. Hey, Mr. Grigo.
How's my microphone? Is it all right?
Keep talking.
Good.
Hi, everybody. Is it okay?
Good. No feedback. What did you do?
Awesome. That's great. All right.
Cool. I felt bad that you weren't here last week.
Well, thanks, John. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we missed you. I like
it's like booming, so it sounds a little weird. If you can turn your volume
all right.
down.
So the other positive thing is happening last week on the studio. I drew Red Sonja.
Oh,
If you
cool.
guys want to see, some of you seen that on X.
Oh,
Wow.
let's make that big. I did not see that on X, and I follow you, so why did I not see that?
It happens all the time. People say that about the romance covers too.
Oh, I love the romance covers.
Oh, I know. Thank you. I appreciate it. I have a lot left.
Oops.
Dick Giordano did over 400 romance covers.
Yeah, I wish there was more Matt Baker, but what can we do?
Well, he did a lot though. He did as much as I did, almost third amount next to John Romita. So it was kind of inspired by a Bruce Timm drawing that I kind of did it in my own.
I like that. I like her face.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I really do.
Beautiful.
The studio's a funny show. Like, I try to think of something those guys aren't going to draw. Mostly faces and eyes and faces and feet and hands. Look who I'm dealing with.
Right. all the image guys.
Well, this is what I've come to, and I have to get used to it because that drives me nuts, like it drives you nuts. Is that there's a lot of people that comics started in 1993. And they never were interested to go before 1993. So they're kind of like when somebody who's a nice guy, I won't say his name, says, well, that Youngblood #2, what a great issue. I'm like, I feel like the guy, like Firefly, like that meme. Because I don't want to go on. People.
I know what you mean, though. Like,
it's not fine. They like what they like. I respect it in that way.
There's a lot of people who won't listen to music from like before they were a teenager. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Same thing. So I like to think that, Dan Lawless was on. If Dan Lawless is on, I'm going to draw Red Sonja. What Dan Lawless is known for these type of characters. He liked it as far as I know. He said he liked it. So, that's what I try to do. Tomorrow, and the reason why I bring it up, Dave Brink is on tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Dave is
and
awesome.
So I already drew Perfect 10. So I might draw that barbarian character, Ravok.
Okay.
Because unless Dave has a different idea, he wants me to draw something. Because nobody's want to draw a horse. Who's going to want to draw a horse? Not my crew.
Yeah, I was going to make a joke, but I'll be quiet. I told you when I started collecting comics, I round out the year at like 1974, and John Buscema was the man about Marvel, and I looked at Jack Kirby as old man's comics.
Right, that's right. That's exactly what that's the thinking is.
And it wasn't until I was in my late teens that I started to go back. So. But the guys on the studio are older than their late teens, so they should be going back to older.
They don't always go back. Well, I think they do kind of, but they really don't.
They all like it, but their era is the 90s.
It's the way it is,
right?
And it's the way indie comics is. There's just going to be X amount of comics that are like Image Comics. That's the way it goes.
And Dave Brink is one of the only guys that are like younger than me that is into the Bronze Age as much as I am. Like everybody is 90s image.
I mean, I could I'd like to redraw my Perfect 10. It's kind of sloppy looking, but it's not something I want to do on stream.
Yeah. So let's see. Oh, some channel news. Monday at noon, Sandy Peterson's going to come back on my channel. Sandy Peterson he designed the game Doom. He designed the board game.
Oh yeah, I remember him. Maybe I'll try to listen to that. I mean, I try. I can listen. It's usually I'm on my way. I get to the places where I have to get to around noon.
And then
I don't know what's going to happen on Monday.
And a whole bunch of D&D stuff. So I can't wait to talk to him. Cthulhu Wars is an awesome game, but he also created Call of Cthulhu, the role-playing game. So
nice.
So we're going to be talking about that. And Chuck Dixon's going to come on. He said any day, any noon, pick a noon. So I'll probably pick Tuesday. And so Chuck Dixon will be on Tuesday.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Tuesday at noon.
He's going to be at noon.
Monday night at midnight, I talked with Heather Vele last week, and her boyfriend is a newbie comic book collector. So I said, you know what? No, it'd be interesting to talk to a newbie comic collector. And just, what are you interested in? Why did you get into comics? Like somebody who literally a year ago wasn't into comics, now is into comics, So midnight on Monday, we're going to talk about that. I just think that's interesting. I don't even know his name. I just know him as Hey Heather Valley. Heather Valley.
So the whole stream you have to refer to him as Heather Valley's boyfriend. He has no name.
I think I'll just get newbie comic guy. That's easier.
Okay.
So, and that's all I have scheduled for next week so far. But I'm kind of hesitant to schedule anything because I don't know what my shop is going to be doing at work.
You might have more time on your hands. You might be streaming 24/7 soon.
Well, I mean, I still have Frollo coming to me, but I was kind of because Oscar asked me if I'm going to New York Comic Con, and I'm like, oh my god, it's
this weekend, isn't it?
No, it's in October. It's literally a month away. I forgot all about it. So I will not be exhibiting, but I'll probably buy a ticket and go.
I'm going to try to go to Hickory Comic Con, which is really small, to just hang out.
So if anybody's going to New York Comic Con, let me know. We'll meet up. Last year, me and Vaughn and Chris, we all went and got noodles, and we watched Vaughn eat 3 entire meals. That skinny little freak ate 3.
I was going to say Vaughn did 3.
The waitress didn't bring his food because she thought he was kidding, and he's like, "Well, where's the rest of my food?" And she goes, "Oh, you were serious?" And she had to go back and get the rest of his food. So I ate 1 meal, and I probably weighed as much as the other 2 guys combined, and Vaughn Coleman ate 3 meals. Yes, I'm making fun of you, Vaughn, if you're watching. Come in here and debate me. I'm going to bring us up to speed on the comments, and then we'll start talking. Go to Karate Kid on him and call him Grasshopper. Okay, you guys are talking, just like FF, probably big deal for you. Okay, so people are talking, or X-Men from. All right, so people just are commenting to each other. That's cool. Right.
Partially because of me, so they
just
don't know how old I really am. 12? You're a newbie.
8 years, it'll all be manga, and you'll be begging for Rob.
I'm going to be 60 years old in a month and 10 days.
If everything was manga right now, I still wouldn't miss Rob Liefeld. It just
some of the manga is really good. I was looking at some manga art books. There's some stuff I want to do.
At least manga has good writing.
Some of the art's really good. Yeah. We're confused with a manga with Kickstarter manga, which is Kickstarter.
Yeah.
If you American manga, I read is Rini Strakowski. So,
Without Rob Liefeld, we wouldn't have Deadpool. The brilliance of Deadpool.
Or worse, Cable.
And the thing is, Rob read all the comics you and I read and loved them all. But he draws against that, John.
All right. So we got about 40 people watching. So this is enough filibustering. What did I think of that one? I don't know. Everybody in the world tells me I got to read One Punch Man. I got to check it.
It's wonderful. You should check it out.
Tony, turn down that mic.
Okay.
Turn down that mic. It's like so. But now it's like you sound like Mumble.
Okay. Is this good? Is this all right?
I can't turn yours down. I tried. So it's clobbering time. This is where we revert back to being 14 years old at the comic shop talking about, I see 14 years old. I just hit puberty. And we're going to talk about our comic characters. So we're going to talk about Van Helsing, who's Abraham Van Helsing from Dracula. He's not really a comic book character, but he's been in a million comics. And Solomon Kane, who's not really a comic book character, but he's been in a few comics. So either one of you guys want to pick a character? Tony? I
could take either or, whichever one.
So Marcus, who do you want?
I would rather do Solomon Kane, although I'm not an expert on that either.
For Tony, pick up. You're going to do Van Helsing then.
Sure. Who goes first? Him or me? Okay. Abraham Van Helsing, as in the original novel by Bram Stoker. I'm not doing any of the movies. I'm not doing Hugh Jackman. I'm going back to the original one. He's a philosopher, a metaphysician, and one of the most advanced scientists of his day. And he's actually the one that set the stage for the paranormal investigator, paranormal eliminator, something that was in vogue back in the Victorian era. Characters like Thomas Carnacki and trying to think of a few more. But it's like whenever you think of the paranormal investigator, it all came from Van Helsing.
I never thought about that, but you're absolutely right.
Mhm.
Like, is there a paranormal investigator before Van Helsing?
No.
Yeah, good call. I didn't think of that. Good call.
So he has a very interesting life. He worked in the University of Austria. He was married. Unfortunately, his son died very young, which caused his wife to fall into a deep depression in which she never came out of. She was catatonic. So throughout most of the novel, Lucy Westenra's suitor, Arthur, reminded him of his son. So he was closer to Arthur than any of the other characters. And he was the first one to figure out what was wrong with Lucy. He was able to deduce
I do remember
through the marks on her neck that it was a vampire. He then was able to pour through thousands of pages of old literature to find, the vampire, the all sorts of information about the vampire, about he was the one that came up with, um, the crosses, the garlic, the sacred water. In fact, he was the one that rallied all of the men in that novel together to not only burn down Carfax Abbey, but also go and confront Dracula in Romania. And he was there when they killed him. When I think it's Thomas Quincy, who's the guy that killed Dracula? I'm trying to remember
Texan, right?
Yeah, it was the Texan Quincy. He stuck him in the heart with a Bowie knife and cut off his head. But he was there when he killed him, and very very smart man.
People write about Americans were violent.
Yeah, well, the hero of the novel is a Texan.
Right.
You can't come up with a better Texas weapon than a Bowie knife.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah, couple of things. I don't know why, but I guess I'm wrong. I had it that his wife was somehow attacked by a vampire. Did I make that up?
No. It was the death of the son. It was the death of the son that just plunged her into a deep catatonic despair. Yeah.
I don't know if a movie changed it, and I'm misremembering. But I read the Dracula movie, the book, and I really like the Van Helsing character. Now,
yes.
As an aside, there's a Dracula board game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the version that I have is Fantasy Flight Games. I think it's the 3rd or 4th edition, and one player plays as Dracula, and they're almost like the dungeon master. You literally have a screen, and everybody else, somebody plays Mina, somebody plays Quincy, and everybody, and it's one versus all. So I'm versus them. So they got to kill me and they win, or I wait them out. Like, they just take too long that I amass too much power. And I got to tell you, it's tough. But one of my favorite rules in the game is you explain the rules. And if you don't get the rules, the only player who's allowed to look at the rule book is Van Helsing.
Yeah.
Because he knows everything. You know what I mean? So, like, if you have a rules question, you ask the player who plays Van Helsing, and he looks up the rules.
Oh.
So if you make your 12-year-old stupid cousin play Van Helsing, and he's gonna, I can't read these rules. So you got to be careful. Like, Mina could tell which quadrant Dracula is in, they all have special talents. I think that's a pretty cool talent. So if she's in the same quadrant as Dracula, her wounds itch. So it's kind of funny. Whoever's playing,
in the book, they had a connection. Remember, right. She knew where Dracula was. That's how they were able to track him. Yes,
and it's a really good game. I highly recommend anybody to play this game. But it's like a 4 or 5 hour game. It's a commitment. It's all like. But
I highly recommend anyone to read Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's a great read. One of the greatest books.
It's been years since I read Dracula.
Yeah,
I've read it.
What does it say? More than anything, they would join forces to kill Dracula. Oh yeah, definitely. Solomon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Solomon, absolutely. That's his whole job.
I read that book. To tell you the truth, I'm like, if there's a vampire movie and they mention Dracula, I'm kind of like, I'm done with Dracula. You know what I mean? Like,
what you got to do is when Chuck is on, you have to push him to do a Solomon Kane book. Oh, he did one, didn't he?
I think he did.
And it's like leather bound, really expensive, so it's not something.
Yeah, it's like $400. I was thinking about getting it, and I was like, $400. I'll wait.
We'll wait for the trade paperback. You know, I got the Conan book.
His Conan novel.
I have his Conan novel.
Yeah, I never.
I've been behind on my reading because I've been doing so much artwork, you know, and I've
only read the Marvel Solomon Kane, so that's how I know Solomon Kane. You know,
you never read any of the Howard stuff, no?
I read.
I like that. I love the Howard stuff. I mean, I have all the books like in the, but the print is so small. Not that I can see anything, but the print is small. It's how far am I getting through the page?
The Del Rey edition, it has everything: the poems, the short stories, the unfinished stuff. This is what to get, you know.
Tim Olson says my brother has that copy. So the game is like Arkham Horror. No, Arkham Horror, all the players are against the game, which kind of freaks people out because Arkham Horror is a true cooperative game, meaning the board itself is the bad guy. And depending upon the monster, you get a card. If you're Cthulhu, it has little rules for Cthulhu. If you're Azathoth, there's different rules. So at every turn, you just see if it triggers these rules. And I was about to say it's easy, but it's not. It's probably the most complicated board game you'll ever play. But I love it. And whenever I play with people, I'm like, I'll take care of all the rules and everything like that. So there's different types of games. Competitive games, which we're all used to, me versus you guys, everybody for themselves. Like chess is a 2-player competitive game. The next game is cooperative games where everybody is on the same team to achieve a mission. Like the most famous one is probably Pandemic. You know, where all doctors.
Oh yeah, I play Pandemic.
That is a fun game. And then the other type of game is one versus many. You know, so it's like one person is Dracula and everybody else is not Dracula, and so either the group wins or the individual wins, and those can be. I have another game called Jack the Ripper, where all the other players are the police trying to find Jack the Ripper, and Jack the Ripper, you get 5 attempts because he killed 5 people. So each turn, Jack the Ripper needs to. He has to make it home, and if he makes it home, that ends that segment, and then whatever it is, a couple of weeks later, and that game is so freaking intense because there's no powers, there's nothing you could do, you just got to evade the police, and if you ever on the same spot with the cop, they find you, but the cops could the worst is when you're next to a cop, because the cop has 3 actions: investigate, do this, and if the cop investigates when you're right next to him, they get a clue, and then clue means that you've been on that spot, and they're like, okay, so he's been on this spot, and if they move and land on you, oh my god, you just lost. And I got to tell you, I played this with my 11-year-old niece, and she wanted to be Jack the Ripper, so I asked my sister, are you she's like, yeah, sure. So we played, and this little sneaky little 11-year-old girl, you know what she did? She killed, and then she went behind the police, and as the police moved, she went behind them. This little sneaky little bastard. So now I know I cannot trust my 11-year-old niece Emily for anything. She's devious. But anyway, this has nothing to do with Dracula, but I was just explaining. And the miniatures in this game are great, in the Dracula game. But this first edition that everybody seems to love, second edition that people don't seem to like too much, and then the third and the fourth edition I think are the same. It's just that the artwork changed, but there you go. Fury of Dracula. Get the Fantasy Flight. If Fantasy Flight games until recently was the best games, and that Sandy Peterson did a lot of Fantasy Flight games, so we'll probably talk about it again on Monday. Yeah, I got outwitted by an 11-year-old. Yeah, and if you met Emily, and my sister's 11-year-old kid, we were playing a game called Sheriff of Nottingham. Even younger than 11, she was 7 or 8 at the time. She's sitting on my other niece's lap watching us play. And this game, you had to take cards, and then what you do is, okay, so there's 5 different items: chickens, apples, whatever, and then you put up to 5 cards in a bag, and you give them to the sheriff, and you tell him it's 5 apples, and the sheriff either believes you or doesn't believe you. It's a bluffing game. So I had 2 cards in my hand. I drew 3, and then I put 5 cards in the bag, and I go 5 apples. And my other niece is going, she's like, Uncle John, I don't know. He knows how to play this game. I trust him. He's not lying. He's not bluffing. The 7-year-old goes, he had 2 cards. He just took 3. Do you really think he took 3 apples? So the older niece goes, yeah, you're lying. Opens it up, and I'm lying. I'm like, I got outwitted by an 11-year-old, and I got outwitted by a 7-year-old. It's probably the same night. So don't play games with my sister's kids, is what I'm telling you. Anyway, let's get back to Dracula. So, what is your favorite version of Dracula in the movies? Who do you think did them the best?
Me?
Yeah. And anybody?
It would be a tie between the 1922 Nosferatu, the 1959 horror of Dracula by Hammer Studios, and 1992's Bram Stoker's Dracula. It would be those 3.
I like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Anthony Hopkins one is the one that stands out. I love that movie. I love that movie. Warts and all, I love that movie. You know, as much as they deviate from the book, there's just something about that movie. To me, that's my favorite Coppola film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the idea that Gene Colan used Jack Palance, the Canadian a theatrical Dracula. I think it was a TV movie, but it was like a play. And he had an early VCR. We're talking like 1974 VCR, right? Giant thing. And he took Polaroids of the TV, the non-high definition TV, and that's who he based his Dracula on for the Tomb of Dracula comic book. Information.
Gary Oldman. Yeah, I like the Gary Oldman Dracula. I like Blade 3 Dracula the best. He's the first and strongest of his kind and a bloodthirsty. You know, I never saw Blade 3.
Terrible movie.
Yeah, I don't think that's the one with Rob Perlman.
No, that was Blade 2.
Oh, okay. I saw Blade 2. Blade 1 I liked. I didn't like. It's funny, when I first saw Blade 1, I didn't like it. And then like a year later I watched it, I was like, what's crazy? This is awesome. This was awesome.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, a board game, not a computer game, yes. They have an Oregon Trail board game, card game, yeah. I haven't played it. All right, so Dracula. So Van Helsing, what are his? We all know his story. He's got one story. He fights Dracula, you know, and he doesn't actually kill Dracula, but he said
he helps track them down. He kills one of the. No. He kills all 3 of the brides. Yeah.
Now I don't like it. He killed Monica Bellucci.
Yes. He chopped off their heads, burnt them, and burnt them in separate piles. So he did get his hands dirty. He does know how to fight. There is some hand-to-hand combat experience there. He carries a revolver, a Webley, one of those break-apart ones. He used a sword. I'm trying to think. Crucifixes, communion wafers, holy water. Let's see. Am I missing something here?
I forget now. He wasn't like an ordained priest or minister or anything, right?
No, he wasn't. He was just a Catholic, just a good Catholic boy that knew all about that stuff. He carried wooden stakes, golden crucifixes, electric lamps, which could be attached or secured against the chest. He used those.
Right.
Yeah.
When I was in the movie theater to see Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola movie, you know, the movie was packed. You know, that's one thing you don't see a packed movie anymore. That movie was freaking packed. And I forget who it was. I think it was Van Helsing put the host, the wafer, up against Lucy's forehead, and it burns her. And the woman in front of me goes, wow, that wafer must have been hot. You know, right over her head. And the other thing is, there was a scene where like a vampire basically having sex with Lucy, but it's not Dracula. But I mean, it was Dracula, but it was in a different shape.
As a wolf.
Yeah, the same woman. This movie should be called Dracula's because there's a lot of them. And I'll never forget those.
And there's something weird about that book that people seem to misinterpret. They think that all vampires have shape-changing abilities. All vampires can change into mist or wolves or whatever. That's not the case. Dracula could do that because Dracula was a Solomonary. He was a student of the Solomonary. Dracula, in essence, was a sorcerer in the novel, and that's how he was able to change shape and, influence the weather and all that.
Oh, okay. What was he?
It's Solomonary. They were a group of. It's from Romanian folklore. They were. See what happens. I'm going off the top of my head here. The devil, every generation chooses 9 people to teach in a school, right? The devil teaches a school, and it has to be 9 because the devil claims one of their souls. So 8 are gonna graduate, right? And those people are sorcerers that can ride dragons, and they can influence the weather, and they can shape change, and they can curse people and all that. So all those powers that Dracula does in the novel, that's just him. Other vampires can't do that.
Vampire sorcerer.
Yes, he's a vampire sorcerer. And Francis Ford Coppola makes reference of that, and also the new Nosferatu film that came out last year or something that really delves into the whole Solomonary. Yes.
If you could DM me that word, I would like to look that up. That sounds
sure. Of course.
So yeah, because I remember 92. Geez, I can't believe that movie was that long ago. But I remember being confused seeing Dracula walking around in the daylight.
He can look, but he's extremely weak.
Right.
Direct sunlight though will kill him. But yes.
Right. So the brides, they don't really change or anything like that. And if you go by traditional vampire rules, a lot of vampire lore, I think that we think of today, I think a lot of it was solidified by Anne Rice. Like
the stake through the heart was an old Romanian thing for the Strigoi, the Romanian vampires that Bram Stoker was able to get. Essentially, what that was to pin the corpse inside of its casket so it won't get up, right?
Oh, so you literally it down.
And sometimes they would bury them upside down. See, so if they were to get up, instead of digging up to the surface, they just keep digging down further in the ground. He also talked about beheading the corpses and setting fire to burning the head and the body separately. So that was from Romania as well.
But like when I'm talking about Anne Rice, like most of the time thinking about vampires, it was just like, a vampire bites you and then you turn into a vampire. And I was always like, does that just mean the world would be flooded with vampires? You know what I mean? But like what I liked about Anne Rice was becoming a vampire was like a conscious decision. It was like a ritual. Like you had to bring them to near death and then feed them your blood. And then like I liked how she had, it was almost like an Ouroboros. Like I'm drinking your blood and you're drinking my blood. And it's almost like the blood's going through both our hearts and whatever. And then, it made it like, okay, that makes it like a werewolf. If you just get bit by a werewolf, you turn into a werewolf. Now, werewolves are just crazy. Like every month they fight 10 people. So shouldn't the whole world be werewolves? So like, what I mean? Like
in the novel, I remember Jonathan Harker follows a bunch of gypsies into a grove where there was a cemetery. He saw them dig up a corpse and stake it because they, to keep, because they thought that one was going to be a vampire. It was going to rise up.
Oh wow! I bet you there's a lot of that. And obviously we don't know about it because they're buried. Several years ago in Bulgaria, they found a grave. The corpse had a stake in the chest. Solomonary. So like basically from Solomon.
It's a wizard believed in Romanian folklore to ride dragons, control weather, shape change. It's part of the recounted. Oh yeah, here it is. The Scolomanats. That's the school that the devil taught them.
Oh, wow.
That's part of the. That's part of the.
That before I forget, I'll forget in 20 minutes. But I like all that. But talking about Anne Rice, I do like that Anne Rice, to me, codified, like you don't just bite somebody, drink their blood, and then they jump up and become vampires. Like I have a vampire story. It works, and it's kind of like the same thing, the process to becoming a vampire. But werewolves, like I always think like a werewolf is just rage. It's like a vampire is intelligence. I could see a vampire losing control in the moment of drinking the blood and killing people, just drinking too much blood or whatever. But a werewolf, they just rip their prey apart.
The werewolf thing, as far as I know, started in ancient Greece.
Right.
And the story goes a king fed Zeus human flesh, and Zeus ended up cursing that king to turn into a wolf. So that's how I remember it. But also, a few people have told me that the traces of that go back to the Vikings, the berserkers. The ones that would wear.
Well, they were werewolf bears, so they were, were bears.
Yeah.
In the Greeks, there was a tribe that, depending upon the scholars, because remember a lot of the stuff was lost, that they purposely made people think that they turned into wolves, that they would skin wolves and wear their outfits as psychological terror. So some people say they never existed. Other people say they were really just wolf men, a whole race or whatever. And then, of course, the scientists say it was a tribe of people that dressed like wolf, like they used it as, and then other like centaurs.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what tribe they were, but they were people that were so good on horses that the expression was they were one with their horse. And in art, they were represented as one thing, but they really it was just a nice way of saying they were really good horse riders, and they think the same thing with the werewolves. Maybe they didn't dress up as wolves, but maybe they were so ferocious that, but they were drawn as werewolves. So like I said, there's a bunch of different schools of thought. So yeah, like ancient Greece gives us the witches, werewolves, centaur. There's a lot of cool stuff from ancient Greece. And the Vikings, what was it? Fly allegoric, like a mushroom, like a PCP derivative. And
they'd get high, dress up like wolves or bears, and kill people. Yes, the berserkers. Yes,
and they were physically big people, big hairy people compared to like the Romans, who were like smaller, and they said that they would take that would kill people, and they were like literally the Walking Dead. They were, when they came down from the drug, they would die. How terrifying! Like 6'6", red bearded, bleeding freak, fighting and fighting. Berserker. It literally meant bear shirt, and they wore shirts from bear fur. Berserker, bear shirt. That has nothing to do with Dracula. So anyway, I love the whole vampire myth, but that's interesting. I read the Dracula novel and I missed that or forgot about it or skipped.
Yeah, it's mentioned in the beginning. All that stuff is told in the Harker, when Harker's in the castle. Yeah, right there. And if you, I would recommend you watch the new Nosferatu, John, the one that came out last year. That one delves heavily into the whole Solomonari thing. Yeah, so you might get a kick out of that.
And I want to watch that movie that came out a couple years ago, Demeter. It's supposed to be.
It was all right.
But I'm kind of, for those of you who don't know, in the Dracula novel, Dracula gets on a ship, the Demeter. It sails from whatever. He goes down the Adriatic, goes to the Mediterranean, up to England on the ship, the Demeter. When the Demeter gets there, everybody's dead. Everybody's gone.
Part of the curse that was that because it's said that when he learned how to do magic, he made a deal with the devil to get immortality. So part of the curse was he would always have to sleep in the soil of his grave. So that's why for the Demeter he filled up those boxes of earth to take with him to England, to Carfax Abbey.
That's not even a vampiric thing. That's part of his.
Yeah, that was part of the magic stuff. Remember, the Dracula is very much its own thing. That's not a regular vampire. That's its own. He's magical. He's a sorcerer. He's like Doctor Strange.
Strange.
You know that. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. But I like that concept of just imagine how scary a vampire on a ship would be. You know what I mean? So that is cool. So I want to watch that movie too. People said it wasn't that good, but it literally happened in the book, but they kind of gloss over it. So this is that little 3 pages of the book turned into a whole movie. So you can insert it into your head.
Yes.
I said that 3 times.
Dracula sort of looks like Man-Bat in that movie. He sort of looks very like a creature, not like a man. But yeah.
Solomancy's used Wizard of.
Well, nobody knows any of this because Hollywood decided to make Dracula this gothic romance with a handsome leading man.
Tony, your mic is going crazy again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
I'll lower it down.
Yeah.
Is that fine?
Yeah, it's almost like a treble on it or something.
I'm sorry. I'll mute myself.
Yeah, mute when you're not talking. If I mute you, then
like Hollywood decided on that handsome Dracula, so they could do several movies, and they have the girl that to them that was more dramatic for the people to watch. So nobody remembers a lot of this stuff. I
read the book, and I'm now I want to reread the
the book. It's a great book, but it's not an easy read.
No.
You have to decipher some of this stuff through all the letters. It's not.
Like it is. It's a pretty good. It goes quickly. It's a great read. I would recommend it.
Well, I did think that Frankenstein was harder read.
Really, I thought Frankenstein was a page turner, man. Oh my god, I must have read Frankenstein, and I'm a slow reader, and I read Frankenstein quick. I thought Frankenstein was, I find Conan out of all of these things that we're talking about. I read one Conan. That was wrong.
And in the book, he starts off old, and then he gets younger. So that Francis Ford Coppola did well in that adaptation. The whole getting older and getting younger thing towards the end.
Oh, Dracula? I thought you were talking about Conan. Yeah, because the first Conan story is the last Conan story.
Oh, yeah. Conan too. Yeah, he starts off as King Conan, and it's, yeah.
Lord Zart says, change the volume in your audio settings. I think you're just changing it on the device. Yeah. In StreamYard, it has audio settings.
Let's see what I can do.
Yeah, noise reduction, whatever, echo reduction. There's a couple of choices.
And
when I go to yours, it looks like you're doing it now because it just went white. Okay, is there a scene where he was running from dogs? Dracula? I don't remember
that.
But anyway, last thing we'll talk about.
We'll talk to Sherlock Holmes, maybe.
Is you just blew my mind, Tony, with all of the vampire powers came from a misunderstanding of Dracula being a sorcerer. That is really it. I got to reread.
Yeah, it makes you want to read the book again.
Yeah, normal vampires do not have those powers. They're just like zombies with sharp teeth. They don't shape change. They don't turn into mist. They don't influence the weather.
But zombies would become vampires. The difference between a vampire and a zombie is a vampire retains intelligence. Otherwise, it's just.
Well, if you go back to Eastern Romanian folklore, the Strigoi, they essentially are zombies with fangs. That's all they are. They're rotting corpses. Okay. They're disgusting. sort of the way the new Nosferatu film makes him look like he's got like pieces of meat missing out of him and like pieces of his head. You could see his brain and stuff. So that's.
Have you ever played, Marcus? Anybody in the chat? Tony, has anybody ever played Vampire the Masquerade? That role playing game? But one of the things about it is you can make that game as fruity as you want, or you can make that game as violent as you want, just like any role playing game. But there's different vampire clans, like different strains of vampire, and one of them are Nosferatu vampires, so they're monstrous and whatever. One of them is the Toreador vampires, which are like the traditional, well-dressed, fruity looking artsy fartsy vampires. Then there's the Malkavians, which are just total chaos, unpredictable vampires. I'm trying to remember. There was the Bruja, which are the biker vampires, which don't make sense to me because doesn't Bruja mean witch in Spanish or something like that? But there's different clans, and I know I'm missing everybody's favorite, which I don't. There's an animalistic type that never quite look human. That they're.
If I may interject, the very first vampire novel, which influenced Bram Stoker, was written by a man called Sheridan Le Fanu, and it's called Carmilla. It's about a lesbian vampire.
Yeah, I read that. I got into a vampire. I read Carmilla. Varney the Vampire came next, or at least maybe it's not, but it's before Dracula, then Dracula. And
But Dracula is the best.
Oh, I'm sorry?
I said Dracula is the best.
Yeah.
Number one.
Gangrels, that's it. Gangrels are the animal vampires. Tremere the mage vampires. Toreador or the fruity vampires, like artsy fartsy, smelling the rose. Why am I tortured to live? And then there's a whole nother clan, from the other side of the world that are, I forget what they're called. But anyway, and then, and that's totally inspired. Like the Anne Rice vampires would be like the Toreadors, whatever. And then I guess now Dracula would be the Tremere, the mage. I never thought of that. I always put Dracula as a Toreador in my mind, but I read the book too. I'm mad at myself. The Fruity Pebbles. Yep. So anyway, that's vampires. That's Van Helsing. So he's a normal human. He's a scholar. Does the book tell us his age? Because Anthony Hopkins played 40, in my mind.
47.
37?
47.
Oh,
47. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's 47. Okay, so all right. I was gonna say old man, but that's a young man to me. But I guess back in 1787 or whatever, 1839, whatever the book was set, that's 47 was a good ripe old age, right? That was doddering on like you can't work anymore, old man, but he still worked. So Marcus, you want to tell us about Solomon Kane?
Sure. So Solomon Kane, we mentioned before, was a Puritan, and he was created by Robert E. Howard. We discussed that a little bit as well. And he wore the overcoat and the big hat, like in the movies, and mainly the comics. He's been publishing the comics by Marvel for years and then IDW, but never on a specific basis. He never hit as popular as Conan. He was like you said, devout Puritan. He's characterized by his fanaticism, unshakable faith, and religious zeal. His forename, Solomon does reference King Solomon, who was also righteous and wise. And basically, he was fighting evil. His whole life was to fight evil, in the name of God.
He sailed under Sir Francis Drake when he was young. That's how he learned the rapier. And later on in Africa, he obtains the Staff of Solomon.
The Staff of Solomon from the Lunga, the African shaman.
Oh, see, I didn't know any of that. Now, who did Howard write first, Conan or Solomon Kane?
It was Solomon Kane, Cull, and then Conan.
Conan, right? I think that's it too. I think he was the first one.
Okay, did he stop writing Solomon Kane because it didn't sell? Because I know he switched from Kull to Conan because it wasn't the biggest seller.
He stopped writing Solomon Kane because he started writing Kull. Kull didn't take off, so he reworked it into Conan.
Okay. Do they tell you exactly what faith he is? Is he like a Calvinist or?
He's a Mennonite.
Right,
okay.
that's right. I remember that he was a Mennonite.
He's a Mennonite. That's cool. Mennonites are like super Amish, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mennonites would call the Amish quitters or cheaters.
That's right.
Yeah.
He was, he was obviously, he's a Howard character. He's proficient in many different weapons, and he had like a huge arsenal. Mainly, it was the rapier. He's a master swordsman. he often reads a dagger, a Scottish dagger, a dirk, and he also had flintlock pistols because he's fighting monsters. So this, he's a little bit different than Van Helsing. It was a genius, and in the mind, and figured things out. This guy is a man of action. Everybody. It's a Howard character, so he's a man of action. He can do all the things with swords you want him to do. He can do all the fighting you want him to do.
But Conan, people don't realize Conan is gifted intellectually. He's if not a genius, he's borderline. Conan would go to a culture and pick up the language like that. You know what I mean?
People don't realize that, but in the comics, they didn't really play him as stupid either. I mean, it wasn't a main thing of him being a bright guy, but they never wrote him as dumb.
If you like me, my first real interaction with Conan was the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and they didn't portray him as particularly smart. They didn't say
no, not the movie. I was just going to say, but
I think that movie defined Conan for a long. Like, how many people?
I like Kull better than Conan.
Yeah, I'm reading The Atlantean by
That's good. Is that good?
Yeah, it's literally the novels. Arrow Comics. You can get
Arrow. Randy Zimmerman.
Yeah, you could get the
Russ Leach.
If you're into sword and sorcery, I mean, it is.
Yeah, it looks like a good book.
Monsters, sword fights. What else you want?
So I like Kull better than Conan. Well, when I was a kid, I guess a superhero kid, I would buy. I wanted to buy John Buscema books, so I would get an odd Conan book, but it never took. I felt like every episode was the same. Now, later in life, I read Conan in trade paperbacks. I took them out for library. I loved them. But it just didn't take when I was a kid. And then, you stop seeing books after a while. And then I liked Kull because Kull had more to do. Kull was a king. Kull had to have relationships and stuff. There was a little deeper.
I'm reading the Marvel Conan books. I think an issue or two from now is when Barry Windsor Smith leaves. But it's just shows up in a new city.
They're adaptation. Most of them are adaptations.
Bangs the chick and leaves. Most
of them are adaptations. So that's what he did in the books.
Yeah, he ran into.
It's not on.
Did Solomon Kane meet Elric? Not that I know of.
Well, that's interesting. They say that, but the description is he's got a gloomy man with pale skin, gaunt face. That's not unlike Elric, or what I think it looks like.
Yeah, well, Howard died before Moorcock started writing, so I.
So he dressed entirely in black. He wears the slouch hat, which I like. The slouch hat's cool. Coat, cloak. I mean, we have to have a Solomon Kane for the heroic tales.
Yeah,
Solomon Kane in your world.
Chuck Dixon was talking, he loves Conan, and one of his asked Chuck Dixon, he was like, yeah, Conan is a three-dimensional character. People don't realize that.
No, I agree with him there. And
he's got a lot. He's got a story arc, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, unlike Solomon Kane, who's a one-dimensional character, kill evil.
Well, like
Tony took offense to that. What do you got to say, Tony? He's getting books. He's getting books. But Solomon Kane is the puritanical. So where did he grow up? Is he from Britain?
England. He's from England.
He is from what year?
From 16th century.
Devon.
What year does it give a specific year?
16th century, late 16th, early century period. It's not specific on the year. It's mostly publishing weird tales that are often taken from Europe to the jungles of Africa and back. That should be interesting. Jungles of Africa, after all, that's like third rail.
I just edited your mic. Talk. See if I might have fixed it.
Okay. Am I okay now?
Wow. I think I might have fixed it. I saw something.
Oh, that'd be great, man. Thanks. I appreciate that.
I appreciate it. I love when you're here, and sound is. You can have a bad picture, and people will forgive it, but bad audio, people are unforgiving with.
I'm very sorry about that. If it was,
I figured out something that I never saw before, so it's been my fault. I've been boomering it for a long time. So he first Solomon Kane started, born in Devon, started to do his crusade in Europe, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, all over, and then he wound up in Africa, where he met the witch doctor Nabanga, who was impressed with his spirit and his heroism, gifted him the staff of Solomon, and
powerful.
He tried to live there. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to find the story. Hold on, let me get to the thing. He tried to live in Africa. Where is it? Hold on. Death's Black Riders. There you go. And he tried to set roots in Africa, and unfortunately, he ran afoul a race of underground winged demons that slaughtered the people that he was trying to live with, and that shook his faith. See, he had an iron faith, but after that, like, his faith kind of wavered, but then he got it back towards the end. His superpower is his faith. He's the most Christian, righteous man you'll ever meet in your life. I don't think he's one-dimensional. People call him a lunatic. People call him a fanatic. I just call him a hero. I think he's the most heroic character that Howard ever wrote, because Conan does good things, but he's not a good hero. He's sort of an anti-hero. He's a hero, but he's not heroic. El Borat. I don't know if you've ever read him.
Kind of motivated by greed for the
law. Yes, exactly. And Solomon Kane does things because it's the right thing to do.
And Cull does things because he's the king, and to protect his people, right?
Well, Cull is a crappy. I love Cull, but Cull is a crappy king. Like, Cull just is not. Cull. I was talking to RJ about this once from the Fourth Age, and I said, Conan is what Howard wanted to be. Cull is what he was. He's very introspective, very moody, awkward around women. He just does not people well. And he was forced. He became a king in his own hand, and he didn't want to be king. Whereas Conan likes being king. But Cull is like, this sucks. I'd rather be outside fighting.
Okay. I didn't read any Cull except for this Atlantean magazine, so I didn't know.
There were only 3 that were published. 5 or 6 were written, 1 partially written. The character I like. I think he's more deeper and more introspective than Conan, but again, He's not Conan. He's not pure action and adventure.
I really have to. I have to read more Conan. I got all the stories, but
I have a big leather-bound complete Conan book, and I just read the first story, and I gotta say,
the complete Cull.
It's soft cover, so it might be that as a soft cover. And the first story was just so difficult for me to read, and I read Lovecraft.
The Shadow Kingdom is the best. The Mirrors of Tuzun-Thun, which is the last one that was published, is very introspective. It ends with Cull basically saying, like, what's the point? What's the point of anything? I'm going to be forgotten in a generation. What's
That's
the
not a
point?
surprise when you think of what happened to Howard.
Yeah, that's what I do.
That's exactly what they think. You think, right?
That's what Robert E. Howard was Cull. As much as he'd want to be Conan, he was Cull. He was Cull the Barbarian or Cull of Atlantis.
In a world of Conan,
that's a sad thing. It's not. It's something.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Robert E. Howard, he killed himself after his mother died.
He was young, like 38, right?
He was 30.
Didn't he go out in the backyard and hang himself?
30, right.
His mother, I think she either died of a stroke or a heart attack or something. He went and talked to the doctor. He asked the doctor if there was any chance she would recover because she slipped into a Conan. There you go. I have those. All right.
This one is illustrated by Mark Schultz.
Yeah, that's volume 1.
Harry Gianni. This is some awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when I'm going to read this stuff.
You should read them. They're great reads. They're awesome.
I know. I'm dying to read them.
She slipped into a coma, and he talked to the doctor to ask if she was going to recover. The doctor said no. And basically what he did was he went into his house. He went into his typewriter and he typed a piece from Hamlet, I believe. I have it here on the phone. I could look it up in a minute. And then he got up. He said goodbye to his father. He went into his car. He pulled out a revolver and shot himself in the head. Yes.
It's not a joke. People, I don't like to even reference that.
Some of the best writers, though, that I love were like that. I mean, Hemingway. I love Hemingway. The Old Man in the Sea. Look at what happened to that poor man.
My brother happened to my brother-in-law. So it's like one of those things.
But Hemingway, what I heard was he became incapable of getting an erection and then shot himself.
Really? Oh, yeah. That would suck, poor guy.
He was no longer a man.
He was born too early.
He would go downstairs. He would take the shotgun out, and his wife would wake up, come downstairs, go, "What are you doing?" And he'd be like, "It's time to go," and put that gun away, talk her back in. And like every couple of nights, he would do it. Then one night, she slept through it. Didn't talk him out of it.
That's horrible. Boy, yeah. Wow. I'm really cheered up now.
It says, but she's might have promoted master. He never fully attained it. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to so Solomon Kane, Puritan. He's older than meaning from you said 14 something, the 1400.
Let me see. I think either the 14th or the 1600. Let me see here.
I don't know why I had it in my head that he was from like the colonial America, but no. So and he traveled all over the place, killing monsters. And how many stories were there?
Okay, according to this, which has everything that Howard wrote, which I don't count anything that Howard didn't write to be canon.
Yeah, same with Lovecraft. There's a whole bunch of
exactly. It's all okay. You have 1, 2, 3, 4.
I will always consider Chuck Dixon canon. I'm just going to say that.
15, 14, 15. 14 stories, 2 poems, and in fact, his last story, the last story that was a poem called Solomon Kane's Homecoming, which is beautifully illustrated in the Solomon Kane Omnibus that was published by Marvel. I forgot who drew it. I think it might have been Al Williamson, but it's essentially
I think it was Brett Pullmans and Al Williamson.
Essentially, what it is he's old. He goes back to Devon, and he's expecting a homecoming, and he realizes that everyone's dead. His parents are dead. Elizabeth, the woman that he loved, is dead. In fact, that's the sad part where he goes, "Where's Elizabeth? Where's old Bess?" And one of the people say, "Oh, she's in the cemetery." So he goes to the tavern, drinks some tea, regales the people there about his exploits, gets up and goes to the docks and continues wandering until he dies. That's essentially the end of Solomon Kane.
How long
the only end he could have, really. I mean,
how long did he wander? Like, when he left Devon till we came back to Devon, how long was he gone for?
That's how. What, the first time or when he comes back?
Yeah, well, the first time when he leaves to stop, like
he was gone for about 30 years.
Yeah, he spent get to wait for him? Come on, man.
Exactly. Well, he wasn't that deep of a thinker, poor Solomon, but it was sad, but again, that's the only, see, the thing about Howard was, and you'll notice that in a lot of his writing, he hated growing old. He hated the thought of growing old. He was like, Edgar Rice Burroughs. All of Edgar Rice Burroughs' characters were immortal. Tarzan found immortality. John Carter of Mars was immortal. So for Howard, getting old sucked, and he didn't want to do it. And he's like, "This sucks."
You think I like this? My freaking neck hurts.
Exactly. So he only had two characters he allowed to get old: Cull and Kane. And Cull basically just sort of only three stories were published, and like I said, the last one ended in a why the hell should I continue with any of this? What's the point of it? And with Kane, it was like he showed up, everyone's dead. Well, I guess I got to go back to doing my thing, and I'll die on the road. That's basically.
I have two things to say about this. John Carter, Warlord of Mars. People forget he was an immortal being.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
So, so he had magic powers that transported.
They never explained where the immortality came from. That was the thing. That was the.
I read John Carter more than others, and they never did explain that.
No, they didn't.
The true mystery with John Carter is why is he immortal,
mm-hmm.
and then how did he get to Mars?
On Mars, remember, it was he. Wasn't it like astral projection or something like that?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've read them.
Right, and so that's why I named my character the sleeper agent John Carter.
Mm-hmm.
I named him Jack Carter, the sleeper agent, because it's there's John Carter, Warlord of Mars, and then there's Randolph Carter from Lovecraft, and both of them, if you ask me, their powers can be explained through lucid dreaming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Randolph Carter was Lovecraft, wasn't it? His stand-in. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So and the other thing I want to say is, I get the feeling that Solomon Kane is inspired by the real life Sir Richard Burton.
Possibly. I never heard that, but possibly.
Tony, I recommend you go get the biography of Richard Burton and read this guy, because he's the inspiration for Indiana Jones. He's the inspiration for who's the other guy that Sean Connery played in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Alan Quatermain.
Yeah, he's the inspiration for Alan Quatermain and Indiana Jones.
Richard Burton, like the actor?
Not the actor.
Okay.
He worked for Queen Victoria.
Okay. I got to check that out.
I'm thinking the actor who married Elizabeth
Taylor.
Yeah,
yes, sir. Captain Sir Richard Burton.
This
was a guy, like, my favorite Richard. I got two favorite Richard Burton stories, but he was the one who discovered the source of the Nile. He was the first Westerner to go into Mecca and go inside the Kaaba. That all the Muslims pray to.
Yeah, the cube. Yeah.
He became a Muslim scholar, tricked them all, and then with his eidetic memory, mapped it out and came back and drew it, which was blasphemy. He infiltrated an Indian snake cult that you had to be born into, and they were so impressed by him that they said, "Yeah, you don't have to be born here. You were born into the snake cult, even though you were born in India. Born in India." And he got stabbed in the face in Africa, knocked out his teeth, and he had these two scars on the side of his face. And then my favorite story is in the Old West, America. Queen Victoria herself summoned him to go to Arizona on a secret mission that nobody to this day knows what he did.
Wow.
Yeah, that is so cool. That's been the topic of role-playing games that are in my superhero, that is like lasting repercussions for like 30 years in our game, was Richard Burton's secret mission so you better believe that has something to do with Science City. You know what I mean? That's one of the reasons why I picked Arizona as but my favorite story about him is now he's home. He's back and He has a younger brother, and his younger brother's catatonic in an insane asylum. Hasn't spoken 12 years, just sits there and drools. And all the doctors give up. And the Richard Burton goes, I'll get him to talk. I'll snap him out of it. And all the doctors are like, who the hell are you? You know? So he walks up to him, and I forget the brother's name, Robert or something like that. And he goes, Bobby, you still owe me £5. And Bobby goes, I paid you back, you bastard. He also wrote the Kama Sutra.
Oh, nice.
Really?
And I forget what else he wrote, but he would come home. He was married, and he would give his wife all of his books. In the books, he's talking about the sex organs, like the vaginas of all the women that he bangs, for scientific experimentation, like describing African tribe women's vaginas and the Indian women's vagina, the Arab vagina, and his wife threw all of his crap into the fire. So
I wonder why.
All of these books about sex that he wrote in Victorian England, from personal experience, we'll never know. You know. Comparing the lovemaking techniques of women throughout.
That could be a good. It's clobbering time. Richard Burton with T.S. Lawrence of Arabia.
There you go. That's a good one.
Richard Burton versus Richard Burton.
Yeah.
Richard had to survive Elizabeth Taylor. So
they had to knock down, drag out fight. So he's. But anyway, check out Sir Richard Burton. I wonder if Solomon Kane, because he was already dead by the time. Solomon Kane was written. So I wonder if that was an inspiration.
He didn't give a lot on his background. Okay. The only thing that was given in his background was the fact that he was a privateer and he sailed under Sir Francis Drake. That's where he learned the art of the rapier. That's where he learned how to shoot and all that. And they don't really tell you much. That movie that came out several years back tries to fill in a lot of the blanks, and it was all right, but there wasn't, people think that he's one-dimensional, and I guess he is, but I mean, he's one-dimensional in a way that I consider DC Comics characters to be one-dimensional. Marvel Comics superheroes, they're guilty. They're guilted into being proactive. Peter Parker caused the death of Uncle Ben. He's got to do it. They all seem to have an accident or some misfortune that makes them do what they do. Whereas opposed to the DC guys, Superman does things because he's Superman and he does them to be good. Right. And, Wonder Woman does that thing, because it's good. And Batman does it for his own reason, but the majority of them are just good for the sake of being good.
The one in Marvel of Captain America is most like a DC character.
Exactly. Morally.
I want to say something. Matthew Creek, he's been a longtime viewer, friend of the show, supporter of the show. He has a comic called Night Slayers that is now live on. Matthew, is it on Kickstarter? If you're still watching, I want to give you a shout out. He's got a comic. He's been talking about it for a while. I've been, he's a good guy. He's, a regular guy like us. Could use all the promotion. Check it out. I haven't read it, so I don't know if it's good or not. But all I will say is he's a guy who's been on my show. He's been a cool guy to me. Check out his book. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, it's on Kickstarter. Thank you. So, Marcus looks like he's on the road.
It's easier for me to actually do it on my phone.
If Batman had been Batman when he was a kid, he could have said, if Woody had gone straight to the police, this would never have happened. If Batman had been Batman when he was, if he was Bat Kid, but then he was an innocent.
But then, if it's all like if he did it, we wouldn't be able to enjoy Batman because it made sense,
if
right?
Peter Parker was a good guy from the beginning, Uncle Ben would still be alive.
Exactly. Or if Tony Stark wouldn't have been a horrible weapons dealer, he wouldn't have been Iron Man.
If Doctor Strange wasn't arrogant, he wouldn't have
exactly.
Well, I don't know. Tony Stark wasn't a bad guy in the comics. He was an annoying bad guy. It's not.
Well, he wasn't a bad guy in the movies either. He was just, it's not bad to be a weapons dealer. You know what I mean? Like
no, but I mean, they played him as super
over the world, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. They played him as super. What I mean is they played him as super obnoxious. not a bad guy.
I heard once that Stan Lee based the character of Tony Stark off of William Moses Browning, the inventor of the Browning.
I don't know. We should get Larry Lieber on the horn and ask him.
I always thought it was Howard Hughes.
You said there was that too.
Before he became a recluse, yeah. He had that look too. But in the comic, he was like, well, I'm Iron Man. What am I going to do? I'm going to do good things. Of course, the first 100 issues, until David Michelinie and John Romita and Bob Layton took over Iron Man, he basically was, oh, my heart, for like issues and issues. And when they got rid of the heart, they never laid into how powerful. Only in the Avengers was he powerful. He was always getting the S knocked out of him. And
he was always crawling around looking for an outlet.
Yeah, it was so weird. Some of it's pretty cool, like how he did find out.
I gotta say, I'm reading some of these early Hulks for the first time. I'm filling in holes in my collection, and now I'm going back and actually reading them. They're not that good. And a lot of the early Iron Mans are not that good.
Did they fight Havoc? Yeah. Well, the Archie Good ones are pretty good because he had good relationships with his girlfriends and all that, like after Iron Man #1. But he really hit a lull, and they did some exciting things, but they hit a lull, like definite lull with George Tuska and stuff.
The Tales to Astonish or Tales to Suspense?
Tales
to Suspense.
Yeah, those Iron Mans.
Well, those ones with Gene Colan, those are pretty good. They're only short stories, so they end quick. I mean, you had Gene Colan solidified that armor that Steve Ditko created.
Right. So I just want to, everybody just check out Matthew's book. It's live now, and
but it's really when he got into his comic, Iron Man really hit a lull, like around the mid 70s, early 70s to mid 70s.
Up to issue 15. I just read the first appearance of Drax. Was the last Iron Man I read.
Oh, that's 58?
55.
Okay, so I'm up higher than I thought. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's Jim Starlin. Like Jim Starlin was supposed to do Iron Man with Mike Friedrich, and they got an issue or two afterwards. I won't say why. They wrote a story that Stan Lee hated, and they got fired off Iron Man. And it was back to, George Tuska and Vince Colletta and whoever was going to decide to write it that month.
Okay, so we, let's get back to Van Helsing and Solomon Kane. I mean, we all agree that they pretty much have a synchronized view of what's evil and what they should do. Whereas, you know what I mean? So for the most part, they wouldn't fight. But
I don't think they would. I think they would recognize the goodness in each other, and they wouldn't fight. They would more team up to fight evil themselves. Yeah. The only way I could see the fight is if Abraham Van Helsing contracted vampirism. Right. In which case, then, yeah.
I think that
would change the
we couldn't do it, though.
But if they're in the same area, it's because of the greater evil. You know what I mean? And they would now, would Solomon Kane listen to Van Helsing? Because Van Helsing to me would be the man with the plan, and Solomon Kane would be the guy.
Okay, Solomon Kane is a master of hand-to-hand combat, of the weapons of his day: flintlock pistols, sword, rapier. He falls into a berserker rage when he's fighting, like Conan, like Kull, like Wolverine, where like he kills everything around him. Abraham Van Helsing is extremely smart and cutting edge with the technology of his day, right? He's got him. Abraham Van Helsing's got him on intelligence, but Kane could basically turn him into a greasy spot on the floor. Right. So, I mean, you
already jumped in. I just have one question. What does the Staff of Solomon do?
The Staff of Solomon wards off evil. It helps to exorcise demons from possessed people.
Oh, cool.
And it's I don't know. You see, the reason why Nabunga had it, and I don't know if you've ever heard this, John, but supposedly the Ark of the Covenant is in Ethiopia. Have you heard of that? Yeah.
We talked about that. I forget on which channel, but
and the Queen of Sheba is African. So yeah, that's why the staff was Nabunga had the staff. But yeah, he picked that up when he went to Africa. So he was older, he was wiser. In Europe, he didn't have that. In Europe, he just had the rapier, the sword, the pair of flintlock pistols, the dagger, the dirks, the bombs. all that stuff. He was essentially he was armed to the teeth. He had almost every weapon you could have underneath his cloak on his body.
Right, that big cloak. I think it sounds like a good graphic novel to team up Van Helsing and Solomon Kane.
Yeah, they're not in the same.
I don't think they're in. I don't think anybody could do it.
It's like a 200-year difference. So I mean, the only thing you could do is if Solomon Kane.
I didn't say it had to make sense. I think it would.
Right. Cool. But I'm just thinking, I didn't know the ending is Solomon Kane just continues his adventures. What if he finds out he's immortal from the staff?
Possibly.
You know what I mean? Oh yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Philip Jose Farmer, John? No. The writer?
Yes, I've heard of him.
The World Newton family. Do you guys know that?
Yes, I've heard of that.
It's revealed there that Solomon Kane is the ancestor to the Shadow. So evidently, Solomon Kane must have had relations at one point in his travels, and that's the lineage of where the Shadow comes from. But again, that's not written by Howard, nor is it written by Walter Gibson. So, yeah.
I don't even want to talk about what he did with Doc.
Oh, you read that one, right? Yeah, not too many people that I talked to remember.
I remember that one. I got to read that one. I've read about that one, and it's kind of like in this time, it should be a popular book, like with all that stuff.
He also wrote a Tarzan porn. You ever
heard that? I haven't read it, but I've heard about it.
This guy,
Jose Farmer, was a unique writer.
Say what?
This guy made a Doc Savage porn book.
Kind of, yes.
Kind
of, yeah.
Look at a lot of their powers came from their phallus. It was really strange. I read about it. I can't say I read it directly.
I read it.
A lot of science fiction writers around that time in the 70s and 80s were doing it. Like I read this guy Jack L. Chalker, and he had characters in the Hex. He did the Midnight at the Well of Soul saga with the Wandering Jew, or who was going to be the Wandering Jew. And they went to all this hexagon, and people are changing sex, and they're turning into animals. Like it's all sorts of stuff that they had nothing to do with wokeism like it is now, but it was part of science fiction for a long time.
You know who did a lot of that? Michael Moorcock with Jerry Cornelius. Yeah.
I wanted to bring this up earlier, but when you said that Solomon Kane got attacked by underground demonic people with wings.
Yeah.
I read a book just recently called Vril, The Age of What Is to Come.
Yes. Roy Thomas he put a lot of that into the All-Star Squadron. Yes.
Right.
And Nick Mignola put a lot of that into that goes into the Thule Occult Society, that kind of weird BS that that pseudoscience that the Nazis used to.
So in this book, it's supposed to be like, there's a kayfabe. I love that word. I went 55 years without knowing
that. Well, I knew that.
Now I use it too much. But there's
because of wrestling. But now everybody knows.
It's supposed to be this book was found. And what it was is it's a guy who was contacted by his rich buddy. Hey, I bought a coal mine, and I'm rich, and I don't know what to do. I don't know how to. Can you help me out? So the author of the book goes to help his buddy, and they're exploring the coal mine. The rich guy falls to his death, and they both fall. The rich guy dies, and now he's underground, and he can't get the F out. He's hurt. He gets rescued by these bluish humanoid beings, and they can fly and they can manipulate them, and they have this ability called Vril, and it's an energy that they can use. Now they talk about they live in peace, they don't even have words for war and stuff like that, but these people live in fear of the surface dwellers finding out about them, but they're good and they heal him, but they're like, you can't go back. Eventually he befriends one of them, like and a girl kind of gets interested. She's like one of the weirdos of her society. She kind of falls for him. He says, take me back to where I came from. I'm just curious. And she's in love with him. So basically uses her and escapes. And now, because he escaped, he knows that sooner or later they're going to overcome their fear of humanity and wipe us out. You know what I mean? So it's like a cautionary book. There's beings below the earth. They can fly. They can do all the, which makes no sense underground with wings, but they have technology. So I was thinking, what if Sullivan Kane was somehow tied to it? Like I'm always trying to make ties, connect all this stuff.
Well, that was like 1925, 1926. When was the Vril book written?
I think I'll look it up while you're talking.
Oh, one other thing about the Staff of Solomon, the head of it is carved the head of a cat after the Egyptian goddess Bastet for whatever reason. So yeah, it's made out of unknown wood that's unbreakable and you can't set it on fire.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
So in this Vril book, the first third of the book is it's a slag. It's just difficult reading about the society that lives under the ground. I forget what they're called. And like you're learning their language and you're learning their religion and stuff. But the second 2/3 is him dealing with them and it picks up. But I love that because like you said, Hellboy, Vril is basically their word for superpowers. Like if you have superpowers, it's Vril. Those Vril integrate with humans who become the ancestors of the Moloch. You see, it's all tied together. So I kind of like that. So, you know, and then supposedly, like this book came out. Yeah, it's 1871 science fiction novel. So that's how old the book is. And supposedly, I don't know how true this is, but Hitler got interested in Vril and this in real world.
It's part of the Thule Occult Society. Yeah, a lot of pseudoscience there. It's a lot more. Like, have you heard of John? Have you heard of Der Glock, the bell? No. Yeah, you ought to check that out. That's one of those they created some sort of device, bell-shaped device that supposedly was for cloaking ships, but supposedly people think that it was a time travel thing. It was called Der Glock, the bell. Yeah.
But supposedly Vril became like the darling of the occult world, like Helena Blavatsky and stuff.
Yeah.
Claimed to have harnessed Vril. So it was one of those books that it was just a fake novel, and then the case it's supposed to be real. Just buy into it. Like Lovecraft is always like you're supposed to pretend Lovecraft really happened. It was cobbled together from papers. Even Tolkien has a kayfabe where he is supposed to be compiling the notes from an elf who wrote the history of Middle Earth in Valinor, and then gave the book to a human, and then gave it to us. So there's a lot of these old-timey things that were supposed to pretend that things were real. But this is my favorite, Vril. Yeah, I find it fascinating that it became, like as Tolkien, as Alan Moore would say, it's not real, but if people believe it's real, then therefore it is real. I like that. But anyway, let's get back to Solomon Kane. And so we agree that they wouldn't fight.
No.
And I think all three of us agree that if they did fight, Solomon Kane would whoop Van Helsing.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and in the chat here, Eric Tukwapa, who would take out Dracula quicker?
Right. Like people aren't even interested in the fight. It's understood. Solomon Kane is he has the blood of Conan and Kull. Like he's
the hammer,
Again, and that one is something that RJ says too. That stuff was added by Glenn Lord. There was the only connection. It was a shared universe, but the only connection is on the Kull side with Brule the Spear Slayer and Bron MacMorn, the last Scottish Pictish king. There is no connection between Kull and Conan, unfortunately.
RJ1. For those of you watching my channel, there's RJ1, RJ2, RJ3. RJ1.
Send our prayers to RJ1.
He says that, so I believe it because he's the Conan expert. So
yeah, well, he may be, yeah, probably is, but for me, I've never seen it.
This Conan book is on the move. I have secret information, John. I'm not going to say any more. It's on the move.
Did I just blank out, or did somebody? Well, it looks like we're all back, so it doesn't matter. But I think for a minute we lost connection. So we were talking about Conan may or may not be an ancestor of Solomon Kane. But anyway, we all agree Solomon Kane would whoop Abraham.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No contest.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Well, Abraham is a fighter. He's human, and Solomon Kane is like superhuman.
Well, like all Robert E. Howard heroes, he has a near superhuman ability to absorb punishment and to dish it out. Like there's this character, John, I don't know if you've ever read him, but Sailor Steve Costigan. Probably that was the amount of the largest amount of fiction that Robert E. Howard ever wrote. He actually made more of his money writing those Sailor Steve Costigan stories than Conan or any of the others.
I never even heard of him.
And essentially what Sailor Steve Costigan is Popeye the Sailor Man or the Goon written by Robert E. Howard. Essentially, really? It was for the boxing pulps, and every story it's him getting into a fight with somebody, and the fights are brutal, man. Like the amount of pain of damage that he takes and he inflicts is biblical, and it's so well written. Again, a little spicy, a little, huh?
What's his Costigan? I'm looking him up.
Sailor Steve Costigan. They're a little racy when it comes to the racism, unfortunately. So if you're one of those people that are squeamish about those kind of things, you're not going to like it. But yeah.
It makes it more fun to look at what people thought of the time. Right. Of what and how far we've come or haven't come, whatever the case may be.
I've said this a million times. People go off on Lovecraft because of his racism. It's just like Lovecraft was horrible to white people. Read any one of his books. It's all inbred hillbillies.
Yes.
I think 2 stories say something bad about black people, but man, does every story say something about poor Southern hillbillies.
Yeah. If you weren't a WASP, you were subhuman. If you weren't a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, you were beneath him. Yes.
Well, we know that's true.
If you're a white Southerner, you might as well have been the hard R. You know. But anyway,
for a while there, I was into booktubing here on YouTube. I used to be subscribed to a lot of booktube channels because I love to read. I used to love to read even more. But I had to get out of it, because every time they'd cover Lovecraft or Howard, they'd be like, oh man, this story's so good. Oh man, this story, let me tell you why this story's good. But unfortunately, it's racist. And unfortunately, did you know that Lovecraft was a racist? Did you know the name of his cat? It all divulged, it just became one amorphous blob of SJW BS. And I just unsubscribed from a lot of those things and got out of that part of YouTube,
Yeah, it's like, okay, you made your point. Now, are we going to talk about the books or not?
Exactly. It's just, but yeah, check it out, John. Sailor Steve Costigan. You'll really dig it. That's where Robert E. Howard made the majority of his money. And also, you like things that interconnect. You should check out the World Newton family. Don't read the porno book about Tarzan or that might be a little too much. Just stick with the real.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the 80s porno movie of Conan.
No, that was an awesome movie. I don't want to hear any bad things about Bo Derek and Miles. What's his face?
Oh no, that one is an official 1990s. Conan, Tarzan porn.
Ah.
I mean, come on.
That's even better. I'll look for it later.
But anyway, so I like what Eric Guapo said. So who would take out Dracula quicker?
Well, Solomon Kane met Dracula. It's in the omnibus. If anyone has it, I have it, but it's on the other side of the house. But it was a draw. Solomon Kane. It was a draw. That was how it was. And Solomon Kane went his own way. But yeah, it was beautifully drawn by Neil Adams. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, that's that one, Savage Tales. Yeah.
So it didn't happen in Robert Howard's.
No, absolutely not. In fact, when these stories were being written, it was very much under copyright of the Bram Stoker estate, which it no longer is. It's all in the public domain. But even if it was, I doubt Howard would have included it. I mean, they did have vampires there, but I mean, mostly he just met like monsters and demons and stuff like that.
Okay, so there was in the 80s, 85, and I had these comics. There was a Solomon Kane series
By Ralph Macchio.
by Ralph Macchio adapting, and then with Brett Blevins, a couple issues,
That's
and then
in the omnibus.
with great covers by Blevins and Kevin Nolan and Bill Sienkiewicz and Mike Mignola, and then Williams has started inking Mignola. He inked Mignola. He inked John Bogdanove, John Ridgway, the Brit. The final issue is Bon Bogdanove. And if they're adapting, they're actually giving in the comics database original story credit to Robert E. Howard. That's how close they were. And I remember these comics as being really beautiful comics. It's one of the reasons why I have a soft spot for Solomon Kane.
Unfortunately, Solomon Kane never really. Conan was the breakout. They did a lot with Cull, but it wasn't Robert E. Howard's Cull. It was essentially Conan, but in a different time. It wasn't the Cull of Atlantis that were in the pulps. But Solomon Kane just sort of, they didn't do much with him. They just kept adapting the Robert E. Howard stories over and over again.
Yeah, they did that. Yeah, I'm looking at the Dark Horse, same thing. It's all adapted the same stories.
And that's a shame because the character is so great. But again, here we go into the public domain. I believe that Robert E. Howard's creation should be in the public domain because he died almost 100 years ago and he left no heir.
There's no doubt.
But for whatever reason,
people have to make Crom comics instead of Conan comics.
But for whatever reason,
instead of King Cull.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, some group called Heroic Signatures claims they own the rights to all those characters, and it's insane.
Copyright.
It's stupid, Yeah.
So I don't know. It sounds to me like Solomon Kane would because Van Helsing, he needed a team of expert fighters, to take out Dracula.
He could hold his own. Remember, he killed 3 vampire women turned by Dracula himself, but he is not on the same level as it would be a good fight. Solomon Kane and Blade. That would be a little bit more of a fight there, but like I said, I don't think they would fight unless Van Helsing or Kane had succumbed to some sort of supernatural malady.
Yeah, but that changes. That adds superpowers. I always say that these are the typical versions of the character. So if they fought, which they wouldn't, it's Solomon Kane all the way. And Van Helsing has one story, one foe.
Yes.
It's like, what else did Solomon Kane fight? He fought a character called Le Loup in a story called Red Shadows, which was the first story he did, and that story's epic, man. He finds this girl dead in like this crossroads in Europe, and she's a beautiful young girl, and he picks her up, and she dies in his arms. It's like, who did this to you, my child? And she told him, Le Loup, and he's like, men shall die for this. And it's basically he tracks this man all over the world. He always seems to be one step ahead of him, and finally he catches up to him, and he has a great sword fight, cuts his head off. It was a character called Le Loup, the wolf in French. There was no. My wife said something. My wife is in Texas right now.
Uh-huh.
She went to go see Joyce Myers, and she said, "I'm watching you. I miss you." So,
hi, Mrs.
So I should fly up to the party at your house.
Party at my house after it's clobbering time. It's beer drinking time. It's funny. If this was the 20s, it's like bring chicks, but in my 50s, it's like bring hot dogs and hamburgers and French fries.
I have a son who lives in Texas.
Great chili in Texas.
This is a good suggestion. We'll get back to that, Crenshaw. Thank you.
Oh, actually, I like that idea. I have a surprise winner in my back of my head.
in my memory, in my old man cobweb memory, I have Solomon Kane fighting dinosaurs. Did that happen?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
No.
It would be cool if they did, but no.
I wonder if there's like a Savage Tales story where he goes into a dinosaur.
He fought werewolves, he fought vampires, he fought demons. In fact, in one short story, he fought a evil severed hand.
Oh, that's pretty.
So yeah.
So I think Solomon Kane wins fighting Dracula. Because if Van Helsing went by himself, I mean, we're going to say Van Helsing versus Dracula. Not Dracula and the three wives, because then I think, whatever. Maybe if he had the three wives, and then fought. So what? Like Van Helsing would take out the three wives, and Solomon Kane would take out Dracula. And then
again, the reason it took a whole group of people to take out Dracula, and again, this boils down to the fact that he was a sorcerer and a master sorcerer that could control the weather and shape change. And so, I mean, this isn't a regular vampire here. Right. I mean, regular vampires are durable and they're nigh invulnerable, but this SOB, like I said, he's magical. So I mean, the fact that it, like I said, it took a group of international essential vampire slayers headed by a 47-year-old German guy to take him down. And the only reason they were able to do it is because they fought him at dusk, remember, just as the sun was setting. Right. Again, the direct sunlight kills him.
That's part of the strategy. He wouldn't be Van Helsing if he went and fought him. And Solomon Kane would fight him at dusk too,
yeah. Well, Solomon Kane would
you better get him in the sun. You stake in him. You take the stake out, it comes back to life.
You remember, John? Remember the main character in Tomb of Dracula, the little old man in the wheelchair? That was Mina's son, Quincy, named after the Texan. Remember?
In what movie?
The Tomb of Dracula, the comic.
The comic.
Yeah, the little old man in the wheelchair. Yeah, he was named after the Texan that killed him. That was Mina's son.
What was the name of the magic? That's Solomancy.
Solomonari. I'll pull it up again. It's the name of the school is the Solomon. See, there it is.
Okay, I found it. It's funny because I just typed it to Grok, and Grok said you have exceeded your limits of questions today. So it's
really how much time do you? How many questions could that possibly be? I'd like to know.
I ask a lot of questions. Like I thought of an idea for a story, so I started asking questions.
I see.
Has somebody done this before and stuff like that?
You might have to shoot the ChatGPT on the other side.
A fabled school of black magic in Romania, especially in the region of Transylvania. Folkloric accounts state that the devil himself ran it. The school enrolled about 10 students to become the Solomonari. Courses taught including...
I'll read it.
So, I mean, that's like I was saying before, people like Fright Night. I don't know if you ever watched that. I mean, in that movie, the vampire changed shapes. He became fog. And it's like, that's not the norm for vampires. That's something, again,
it is now.
It is now, but it
is now.
But don't forget in Salem's Lot,
Yeah, exactly.
Even though he looked like Nosferatu, he did change it to Bat. I mean, Stephen King kind of merged it all together.
Well, Nosferatu was a ripoff of Dracula, remember? Yeah.
Right,
so,
of course.
Look at all of the vampire movies, except for like Interview with the Vampire. The big bad one turned into bats, turned into a mist, control, stuff like that.
I never really read much of the Anne Rices. Did they do that? Did they turn into mist?
The problem with the vampires that they were kind of gay.
Yeah,
they were gay.
The Anne Rice vampires.
I mean, the little foo-foo vampires.
They were super strong. They could move really quick. They had a lot of powers, but they didn't have like flashy powers like shape change and stuff. Like I'm sure somebody's going to say in the chat that one vampire.
Well, they probably did it in one novel at the end before she passed or something.
But they like the closer you came to the story, the more powerful you were.
I only watched the movie. I never
I
read
think I read the
movie.
first book. I think I did. I don't remember.
I read
many
all of
books.
the Lestat books up until the last books, Space Aliens and stuff like
Well,
that. It got really weird, but
Yeah.
there was why can't I think of his name? Amiel. Amiel was this original spirit, and Amiel was a spirit, and he was like gigantic because spirits aren't contained, and there was like this pre-Sumerian culture that would offer blood, and Amiel he developed a taste for it, and he started to like it, so he pretty much inhabited a bot. It became the first vampire, and they sacrificed blood to it, and then the Queen of the Damned, I think he turned her, and she became the second vampire, and then she turned her sister. Then they turned on that being and killed him, and so these two, she became Akasha became the source of all vampires because she contained, and every vampire had like his psychic tendril from Amiel, and he was housed in Akasha, and then so if Akasha bit you were a second generation vampire, and then if whatever third generation, and like Lestat basically like started feeding his way up, and like increased his generation, which is like the whole basis of that vampire.
So he leveled up. That's cool. Yeah,
and he leveled up, and if I'll give you guys a couple of seconds if you want me to spoil. But
go ahead.
We got 69 people watching. I don't want to spoil all the Anne Rice novels if people, but you know. So what about the Anne Rice vampire novels, Eric?
Well, I don't know. I thought Salem's Lot was pretty good.
But he eventually, Akasha, in the movie Akasha, if everybody saw Queen of the Dead, she gets killed by her twin sister. And her twin sister literally sucks her brains out, and she becomes the Queen of the Damned. She becomes the queen of all the vampires. One of the things the Queen of the she could literally, with a thought, kill all the other vampires. So they always lived in fear of the mother. Well, in the second to last book, Prince Lestat, he kills her and sucks out her brain, and now he has Amiel living in his head. And every once in a while, in all of the novels, all of a sudden, somebody would talk to Lestat, and it didn't happen. It happened enough that you would remember when it happened, but not enough that you'd forget about it. You'd like maybe once a novel, like turn around, and it turned out that was Amiel always talking to, and then they find a way to break that psychic bond and blah blah blah, and then they basically build a plastic body for Amiel, and he's walking the earth again.
Wow.
It turns into science fiction in the last couple of books.
I see that. Yeah.
Prince Lestat was the last good book, and then there was Prince Lestat in the Kingdom of Atlantis was the last one I read. If there's one after that, I don't even want to read it. It's as if.
Well, sometimes these series go on too long,
Right. Yeah,
that's what happens.
That's interesting.
I like Salem's Lot. Me too. I found out why I was thinking down as he was fighting a demon who looked like a terror. Yeah, I think that's what I was fighting. I think it was
Wings of the Night. That's what it was. I thought it was Death's Black Riders. Thank you, sir. Wings of the Night. That's what it was.
I think this whole conversation with these two guys ran its course to the point where we're talking about other stuff now. So
that's fun too, though. I mean,
I was going to ask people for suggestions, but you know what? This suggestion is absolutely.
I like the suggestion.
Yeah, who's the best superhero girlfriend, Mary Jane or Lois Lane?
Gwen Stacy.
And we'll just open it. We'll throw Steve Trevor into that. Like, who is the best? I don't want to say significant other because that's so gay.
Yeah, I don't want to say that either. I don't want to say partner. Don't say partner.
Don't say partner. That's even worse.
Yeah, I can't say partner. It's the worst thing. Like, I have a writer. I like to call him my writing partner. It sounds terrible.
Who's the best love interest for a superhero? What's that?
Gwen Stacy. I like Gwen better than Mary Jane.
What did you say, Eric? What'd you say, Tony?
Margot Lane, the Shadows.
Shadow, right?
Yeah. She would help him out.
She was a badass.
Yeah.
So
Margot Lane. Sure.
Now, throw it all in there. We got Margot Lane.
There was 148 issues of Lois Lane.
We got Lois Lane.
She held her own comic for years.
But all she would do is just get into trouble and have Superman
no
help her.
speculating now. We don't talk about it till next week.
Wait, we got to find. Well, for next week, I have to find that great Murphy Anderson cartoon. Did you guys ever see that?
No.
I got to find. It's the best. I'll try to find it. It's the funniest thing.
But Coriander doesn't count because she's a superhero in her own.
She's a superhero. That doesn't.
It has to be like a normal.
Deborah Whitman.
Who's Deborah Whitman? She's my favorite.
You like Deborah Whitman? I know. I remember.
What about Madeline Pryor? Can she count or no?
No, she became.
Well, she counted for a while.
Okay. All right.
Are we going off of looks? That's up to you. You define who's the best. You know, that's
Betty Brant.
You know, so there we go. So that'll be next week.
This could be interesting.
You mentioned Gwen
Spider-Man girlfriend.
Now that you mentioned Gwen Stacy, can somebody tell me what the hell is Gwen Poole? Is it the same character, or is it something else?
Gwen Poole is that editor that John met. What's her name?
Yeah. It was based off of her, but is she Gwen Stacy, or is she
in a different world, right? In a different.
Yeah, she's Gwen Stacy from another dimension, another multiverse. Okay. And I don't know her origin because I don't care.
April O'Neil counts.
And now she comes to, 616, and she's got, whatever.
April O'Neil counts.
Yeah.
April O'Neil counts. Yeah, she's as far as I know, like from the movie, it didn't happen in the comics yet, but she becomes a what's his name's girlfriend, right?
She's trained in ninja skills by Splinter.
She's not a superhero.
So yeah.
Misty Knight. Does Misty Knight count? Iron Fist girlfriend.
Bionic arms, so she's a superhero, right?
Well, kind of, sort of, I guess. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, but she never.
We go through this.
She counts. Colleen Wing, but they're the Daughters of the Dragon. They're their own thing.
They ended up to be their own thing. Yeah. They were private eyes. That's right.
Jean Grey is the worst superhero girlfriend. I talked about that last week with Cyclops and the telepathy.
But Cyclops screwed her over. Come on, they ruined Cyclops. It's not Jean Grey's fault.
What Wonder Woman? No, Wonder Woman would be the superhero. Steve Trevor would.
Etta Candy.
Etta Candy was, as far as I know, she was love interest for Wonder Woman.
Well, at the end when they made Wonder Woman a lesbian.
What about Wilma Deering? She fought with Buck Rogers, but can that count?
Well, and then there's Flash Gordon's girlfriend too.
Yeah. No,
Dale White was a reporter, but Wilma Deering was a member of the Force. She was a soldier herself.
What about Flash Gordon's girlfriend?
Yeah, Dale Arden. She was yeah. Gwen is just a random girl from a world who can mess with the fourth wall. Now that she has some strange power. I've always liked Lana Lang.
Did they bring her back, Gwen Stacy? Does anybody know?
Yes, it's a disaster.
Really? Yeah, well, they brought back her clone. Did they bring back Miles Warren cloned her?
No, they brought back her clone. I don't think they brought back the real Gwen Stacy.
But
what they did do. Well, this goes into next week, so forget it.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk
Gwen Stacy destruction goes into next week.
We'll talk about the love interest next week.
John, thank you so much for fixing my microphone. Everybody, check out Heroic Tales and Night Slayer. And everyone have a good night.
Yep, and Heroic Tales had the colorist had an incident in his family, so it pushed it back a couple of weeks. If in the perfect world, it would be at the printers right now, and it's not. So it's probably going to be put a couple of weeks back.
Those aren't drop dead dates. You're within the realm of
right. So I'm gonna update. I'll probably update tonight. So
you're in the realm of on time.
Yeah, I know.
In the realm of on time, because it's not it isn't. It's hard to have that with printers issues and illnesses to have that be a drop dead date. All
right. So there you go. So next Friday,
I did want to say one thing.
Good.
Canadian Shield. Rick has used my piece from of his character from the studio, and it's the cover of his ash can. Anybody who backs Canadian Shield will get that ash can for free. And so, if you don't mind, if I put the link in, John, I want.
Go ahead. Oh, and I wanted to say this. I was talking with an artist who shall be nameless. They're already going to be working on a variant cover for I Love a Mystery.
Oh, terrific! That's cool.
So, we're going to have Marcus draws the cover because he does the inside, and then
I appreciate that.
we'll have. And
I believe in.
I said
crowdfunders. I believe in variant covers. So
Marcus.
Yeah, let me just do this.
His style is like posters, so he's gonna do like a Steranko.
Oh, nice. Thank
like
you.
A movie poster.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So that'll be the very in Indieland. It gets where it gets. Yeah. Is it Rob? I'm not going to announce it until it's time to announce it. I mean, it's nobody big. It's one of us. You know what I mean? But
yeah, but one of us would draw some people, and that's fun. I appreciate that. That's fun. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's not like a Marvel mainstay or anything like that. It's one of us. All right.
I'll get Tucci to do one.
You're going to be on the studio tomorrow?
Yes, we're on studio. Dave, the ever popular Dave Brink is going to be on the studio. I've already drawn Perfect 10, so I'm thinking about
you should draw Calamity.
Ravok.
You want to draw Bombshell, draw Calamity.
I have to look. I'm thinking about, because I try to think of what those guys won't draw, I'm thinking about drawing this Barbarian Centaur.
Okay.
Unless, I DM Dave and ask him if he wants me to draw anything specific. Cool. I was looking at my Perfect 10. I'd like to re-ink it, but I don't want to do that on the studio.
All right.
That's not, unless he wants me to. I mean, like, what are we promoting? If we're promoting Perfect 10, we should probably draw Perfect 10. So I'm still thinking about it.
So I'm going to close this down. I'm pretty tired. I don't know if I'm done working this shift. I don't know what's going on. I'll find out Monday. So there you go.
Okay. Good night, all.
I kind of hope I'm done with the shift. I just felt isolated. All right. See you, everybody.
All right. Good night.
Sunday for Sunday Comics, I'm going to do Hero Inc. Right? Is that what it's called? Wally Wood and Steve Ditko's comic.
Hero Inc. They did that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do that one, and then we'll get back to the X-Men.
That'll be cool. I like to look at that. I've been looking to talk about Steve Ditko all day. That'll be fun.
It's an interesting, weird comic. It's pretty cool. All right. See you, everybody.
Good night.
So we will do goodbye, kids, and we'll leave.